All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving right along. I know you guys must be getting so excited about getting clear on what you value. Okay, so let's go ahead and start it from the top again. Those 4 value areas we've been working on for past several days. It's going to be your relationships, yourself, your health, and your wealth. Now, these 4 value areas are going to be used for you to gain clarity about what you value in life. That way you can have more direction in your life by knowing what you value and then using those values to make good decisions on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly process, and using those values to say, hey, this is what I prioritize. I know what I prioritize because I'm going back to these values every time I need to make a decision. And that's going to have you going down the path to your most fulfilled lifestyle more quickly than you were before. So I'm excited to have you on this adventure with us and to be going over these value areas. Let's pick up where we left off. We've already gone over the relationships, the self, and the health values. If you missed those, then send me a message. Let me know you want the videos for those 3 value areas so that you can get the clarity as well. And then we'll go ahead and pick up where we left off here on our wealth value. Now, for our wealth values, there's 2 categories for this one. It's going to be your source, where you get it from, and then how you use it. So your uses for your wealth. So your source of wealth is going to be something that you have to think about your moral code. It should be pretty easy if you've been following along with these other value areas, because that's really what this is. It's your moral code. It's your standard. It's your expectations of yourself. So let me go ahead and share with you what my value is for how I source my wealth. Okay, so another note before I jump into these is that it's good to have a statement that you believe. So here, my first one is how I obtain my wealth is vital to how I am affected by wealth. I will earn my wealth by serving others. There is my big pinpoint right there. If I'm not serving others, if how I gain my wealth is not serving other people, that's a big red flag for what I'm doing in life and what I'm doing as a career. I will never put my wealth above my other values. We've gone over several value areas. So that's one of those big decisions. If I have to make a decision in my life about my career, depending on what your career is, maybe your career lines up with one of your other values, and that's kind of a balancing act that you have to do. But a lot of times, what we do for our wealth doesn't have a whole lot to do with the other areas. And maybe that's what you've come here to change. You want the way that you source your wealth to line up with some of your other areas. So that's, something that I put in here. I will earn my wealth by serving others. That's what I want to do. That would be one of my other value areas. Okay. I will not serve wealth, but will make wealth serve my values. Again, this one all comes down to what I believe is I'm not going to sit there and spend hours upon hours putting everything else in my life off to the side while I focus on how I get my money. Because at the end of the day, the only reason you're getting money is to provide for those other value areas. And if those other value areas go to the gutter because you've put them off so much just to get the money to take care of them, one, your relationships, if you've not spent time on your relationships, then what is money going to do to help save that? If you haven't put in your effort and made the correct decisions in life, what's it going to do for yourself if you've spent so much time on your job that you're so worn out, you don't have time to relax, you don't have time to reflect, you don't have time to grow? And what is it going to do for your health if you've been running yourself ragged and you've not been giving yourself time to get the exercise you need, to get the rest you need, to get the mental clarity that you need? So think about that. That's typically one of the big things. Me, obviously, it sounds like I probably put a lot of effort and a lot of attention toward my wealth. So it needs to be at the bottom. It needs to be checked that I'm not prioritizing it over everything else that I value. Some of you may not have a very high value on your wealth. There may be too much time being spent on everything else and not enough time being spent on your wealth. So you may have a different pledge or a different promise or a different statement that you believe to be true about your wealth values and how you source it. So think about that and think about what you're going to put down for your wealth value and how you receive your wealth. How much energy you put into it. What are some things that you balance it against? That's how you're going to do that. So I love it. I hope you guys are gaining value from this. We are going to continue with this, and tomorrow we're going to close it out. We're going to be done with these value areas, and hopefully you have the clarity that you have been coming here day after day after day to receive. And what that's going to be tomorrow is we're going to talk about how we use our wealth. Okay? Stay tuned. I can't wait to see you for the final day and we complete these values and you get that clarity, direction, and you are now on the path to a most fulfilled lifestyle. And we'll move into some practical ways to use these values once we've gotten them all taken care of. Can't wait to see you guys. All right, ladies and gentlemen, today is the last day of the 4 value areas. If you've been going over this with us since day 1, I want to hear from you. How has this provided value to you? I hope that by the end of this, you should be more clear. If you've been following along, if you've been writing down your pledges and your promises, you will be more clear on what you value. That way, you can further define the direction that you want to go in life and then use those values to make the big decisions in life based on priority and how you've prioritized these values and the pledges and the promises that you've made so that you can head down the path to a most fulfilled lifestyle. Okay? So we've already gone over the relationships, the self, and the health values. Today, we're closing it out with the final subcategory under the wealth values. So yesterday, we spoke about our source of wealth, needing to be fulfilled. Not only that, but to also have a righteous source of income. Make sure that that connects with what you truly value, that you're giving back to others, and that you're receiving your wealth in a way that fulfills you and connects with your values and is not sacrificing your other value areas. So today, let's go ahead and end it off with how we use our wealth. So this is our wealth use value. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick up mine and go over these with you because these are some very firm values. A lot of us, it doesn't take much to get caught up in our desire for wealth. So you'll see that kind of tone amongst a lot of my promises and pledges throughout my wealth, because I do know how scary it is that once you've actually obtained wealth in life to just want to spend it all on yourself. So you're going to notice that as a tone for my pledges and promises for this value area and some of my firm beliefs. And I've backed them up with biblical concepts as well. So think about this as you're going over your promise and pledge for your wealth use. Okay, so my value for my wealth use, God always gets his 10% first. My wealth should always provide food and shelter for my family, a firm budget that prioritizes the needs of God first, family second, and myself last. I will always live below my means. This is just halfway through, but you can already see that this is a pretty strict way of living here. I will always make sure I have funds set aside for emergencies, growth, and giving. It's using wisdom. I will always pay what is owed and spend on what I need before I spend on what I want. Needs come before wants. I will always look to give to someone in need before I give to my own desires. That one is a hard one. I'm not going to lie to you. That's why it's a promise and a pledge, and I don't always align with that all the time, but I do try my absolute hardest to get rid of my own personal desires and help to give to those in need when I see a need and when a need's presented to me. I must make enough to reward myself after everything else has its share. That last sentence is important. After everything else has its share, I want to reward myself. I should be able to reward myself. I will always be willing to sacrifice wealth for the glory of God or the benefit of one of my other values. So the glory of God, obviously I started that phrase off with, God always gets my first and best 10%. That is the concept of tithing. If you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out to me. Now, the last sentence there saying, I will always be willing to sacrifice it for the glory of God or my other values. That's another way of me promising not to allow myself to serve my wealth. My wealth will serve my other values. That ties in with how I source my wealth. I had a pledge and a promise in there that related to that as well. So this one is extremely important. We all have wealth. We all need wealth to some form, shape, size, or extent, whether we're extremely poor, whether we're in the top 1%. Wherever we stand, wealth is present in our lives, just like all these other value areas are present in our lives. So think long and hard about what your promise and pledge is, and about every quarter of the year, about every half year, no later than once a year, go back and revisit these value areas and make adjustments to them so that they still align with what you value in life. You may have accomplished some of your promises and pledges. You may have nailed them down to where they're now second nature, and there needs to be a new promise or a new pledge to make sure that you're consistently redefining that direction in life and bettering yourself along the way. Remember, if you're not growing, you're dying. I can't wait to see how you guys use these value areas. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I would love to work with you. If you are interested in having somebody in your corner to help you find the clarity through these value areas, to help you define that direction the way that you see it, and to help with the decision-making processes on a daily basis to make sure that you're moving forward down a path of your most fulfilled lifestyle. That's what I do. People ask me, Blake, what do you do? That's the long version. The short version is I find time. How many times have you caught yourself saying, I just can't find the time to get this done? Or you hear somebody else saying, I just can't find the time to get this done. I just don't have the time. I'll find it. I promise you, I'll find it for you. If you truly value it, we will find it together, and you'll be surprised by the amount of time that we're wasting and how we can recycle that into time that can be used for something you truly value. Reach out to me. I would love the opportunity to help you create your most fulfilled lifestyle and be heading down that path. I've enjoyed everybody who has reached out to me, and I enjoy providing value to every one of you. Have a good day, and I'll see you next time.